All right, guys, we just finished Unit 2 test. Now we're moving into Unit 3. We began looking at Unit 3 and focused on industrialization. Our whole target of this unit is getting up to and through the Civil War and Reconstruction. All right, and we begin looking at the Civil War by trying to compare the North and the South. And when we think of the North, we think of industry and factories. All right, so we want to start today by looking at the early 19th century industrialization in America. We call this the Market Revolution. All right, for this video, we're only going to look at the transportation revolution, and then we'll slowly move into the entrepreneurship, and then we'll get into the effects of that tomorrow in class. All right, so our central question really is, what were the results of the early 19th century industrialization in America? That's where we'll finish up tomorrow, and we'll probably actually finish with that question. All right, but again, we want to focus on the transportation revolution. The primary goal here is obviously for the East Coast to tap into the West Coast. They want to try to expand the country, build a market, expand well, the South wants to expand slavery, but to expand resources, to draw resources from the West, and to grow. Okay. We start by looking at the Turnpike revolution, sort of. All right, 1790, obviously the first turnpike. You have about 62 miles of hard surface road. It's the first hard surface road in America. All right, as you see, by 1832, nearly 2,400 miles of road connects major highways. Now, the other effect that comes from this is this revolutionary idea of collecting tolls. All right, so you have toll booths that are going to be put up on the Lancaster Turnpike throughout Pennsylvania, and this will go ahead and touch off a turnpike building boom. All right, now there's going to be opposition to the turnpikes. All right, first and foremost, state rights advocates, they oppose any type of federal aid to local internal improvements. We saw that with Andrew Jackson and the Maysville Road veto. Okay, eastern states are obviously concerned with overpopulation growth in the West because they want to keep population somewhat in the East. They just want to open the West up for resources. Okay. Now, Conestoga wagons, this is a major mode of transportation westward. You have these wagons which are about 20 feet long, 4 feet deep. They serve as wagons on roads, sled on mud, and boats in the streams and rivers. All right, so it's kind of like a modern day SUV. You could do a little bit of everything. And about what's so significant about them, again, is their sturdiness and how they're used to travel westward. All right, the canal system. All right, the canal system, which is going to, the Erie Canal anyway, is going to be completed by 1825, and it's about 363 miles of canal that link the Great Lakes with the Hudson River. So now you have the Great Lakes, which go as far out as Minnesota, and you can transport your goods through the Great Lakes, then hit the Erie Canal, and then hit the Hudson River, and you can be on the East Coast within days. It's actually going to reduce shipping time from 20 days to 6 days. All right. The other thing that the effect of this is that it's going to reduce the cost of shipping from, for example, a ton of grain from Buffalo to New York City is going to drop from $100 a ton to $5 a ton. So there's a financial benefit as well as a time benefit to this. Okay, New York became the fastest growing and wealthiest city in the Atlantic coast, partly because of the Erie Canal system. Okay, the other effect of the Erie Canal is that the Great Lake towns such as Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago are going to grow extremely quickly just because of the ability to go from east to west. All right. New England farmers are going to be adversely impacted by the competition, but that's also why the New England farmers are going to move towards the factory system. All right. Other canals will eventually be built connecting the Great Lakes with other major cities and rivers. Okay. All right, river transportation. All right, Robert Fulton in 1807, obviously he built the first steam engine called the Claremont. It leaves New York City when it's 500 miles up the Hudson River. What this does is that this is going to change America's navigable streams into two-way arteries. Meaning, before the steamboat, most ships either went down river, and then you had to take a separate river to go up. Now, with the steam engine, you can go up and down. Most river travel was done by flatboats before steam engines. So again, this is going to make things easily accessible for all. You know, people are going to be able to go up and down river as quickly as possible. The carrying capacity on the rivers are going to double, and it's going to help manufactured goods soar, increase as the Western market grows. Okay, and here obviously you can see some of those canals, the Erie, and then you have the Delaware, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Chesapeake, which is obviously familiar to us, etc., etc. Okay, and again, there's an example of the freight rates going down as these canals and railroads and wagons and roads, as all this increases, the cost of shipping decreases. Right? Clipper ships, these are these small little ships that are going to be used throughout the Great Lakes. These also become very valuable for sailing up and down the coast, as well as some of them will go across the Atlantic, but they're not always very sturdy for that. They'll also be used to protect the coast from pirates and other pirateers. Now, the last but not least, in terms of the transportation revolution, is the iron horse, or the railroad. Okay, the most significant aspect of the transportation revolution, because it is the fastest, the most reliable, and it's much cheaper than canals to construct. It's an all-weather transportation, and it goes through all terrain, obviously. All right, the first important line is going to be the Baltimore and Ohio B&O Railroad, which was built in 1828, finished by 1830. And then by 1860, at the time of the Civil War, you have 30,000 miles of railroad track that's going to be laid down. 3/4 of that is going to be located in the industrialized North. All right. Now, you see here, the railroad revolution is obviously also going to be impacted by the immigrants, which we'll talk a little bit about tomorrow in class. But the northern railroads are going to be built by mostly Irish, some Scandinavian immigrants, whereas the southern railroads, even though there's very little of them, they're going to be built by slave labor. Okay. There's going to be opposition. Obviously, canal builders and turnpike investors, they're not really keen on the railroads. All right, certain farmers who made money transporting goods are now going to lose profit because of the railroads. All right, so there are some negativities to this. Last but not least, I think it's important to note that the significance of this transportation revolution is that, one, it's going to create a national market economy. Without the transportation revolution, you won't have industrialization. All right. Two, it's going to create a regional specialization. All right, the West is going to primarily be focused on growing grain. All right, where the East is going to be now focused on industry, and the South is going to be focused on cotton. So with the development of transportation and the improvement in transportation, what you have now are different parts of the country are going to be focused solely on different areas of the economy. All right, and for probably one of the most significant effects of this is that it's going to facilitate the movement of population westward. All right, America is going to grow. All right, and that's it.